Station of the year.
They're here.
The Tommy Boyds Show.
This must be where pies go when they die.
You're the most cold-blooded man I've ever seen.
How can you have any meat if you don't eat your pudding?
The Tommy Boyds Show.
Back and to the left.
The show with more endurance than radiation itself.
You say either, and I say either.
Apparently official. Stand by, please.
Tommy Boyds.
Apparently official.
Have you no compassion?
Stand by, please.
Let's rehang the pictures in the gallery of life.
There's no escaping here.
Tommy Boyds.
Good morning. Although, like me, you know that the party political conferences don't make a blind bit of difference to anything at all, I do keep half an ear on them in case any of the political parties have anything useful to say about pensions, about the state pension. Because I care, like you do, and it could be something that directly affects your quality of life. And I've noticed that we're just about all the way through the party political conference season, and nobody's had a word to say about them. We haven't even had the little hoo-ha that you often used to get September, October, about a bonus for pensioners come Christmas. So obviously, status quo rules. No hike in pensions. Everything else going off, Japan going down, and Dow going here, and Nikkei thing going Bonn, and Wall Street going Brazil. But pensions to stay the same. Okay, if pensions aren't going up, I say we've got to help. All of us have got to help. Pensioners have got to pool ideas. But above all, people who aren't yet on a pension have got to help. Have got to help. And I'm talking concrete action here. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Let's pass on some money-saving tips to the old folk. For example, I was out shopping in the high street at 10:30 this morning, and I noticed that there were a number of elderly men who were doing the shop. And the thing that stood out, the thing that was different about them and all the young people who were out doing their shopping, was that all the elderly men, yes, they were dressed largely in polyester, yes, they had pastel shades on, but the thing that really stood out was that each of the elderly gentlemen was shopping using a shopping bag. And this is the first money-saving tip I'd like to pass on to old folk. When you go shopping, leave the shopping bag at home. Because, and obviously old people aren't aware of this, nowadays, when you go into a shop, it doesn't matter what you're buying, the shop assistant will always offer you a bag. Now, in the good old days, it might be a brown paper bag, but only if you really needed one, and you wouldn't get offered it. You had to ask. But nowadays, whether you're buying a loaf of bread, or a pound of liver, or some potatoes and some courgettes, if you can stretch to courgettes, okay, the assistant will say to you, and would you like a bag? And that bag is a full-sized carrier bag with handles, and it's free. You see, it's free. So you can walk to the high street, unencumbered with a shopping bag, and you can come back home with your purchases and 2, 3, 4, 5 free carrier bags, which means that you'll never have to buy bin liners again. Okay? That's one very important money-saving tip, which I think will help your pension pound go a lot further. Free call 0500 10 53 89, and you can use these free carrier bags obviously as substitute bin liners, but you can also use them if you're having fish for the innards. You can use them to wrap up a light bulb if one bursts, or if you're sick. So it's a big saving and it's a big tip, and I'm of a mind to stop the next old gentleman that I see down the high street with a shopping bag and ask him if he realises that that is actually costing him a lot of money. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Pensions aren't going up, so we've got to help. So let's pass on some money-saving tips to old folks. Number 1, ditch that shopping bag. Number 2, you should never pass a public phone without just checking inside the little coin return trough, because as like as not, there's 10 pence there. Because so many people put 50 pence in, and then if there's 18 pence left on the call, they don't realise it, but they hang up and 10 pence comes down. Okay? So that's a good little dodge. Free call 0500 10 53 89. This is a very important one. Old folk, for goodness sake, you have potatoes with every meal, and you peel them. Well, don't. A, because you've paid for the skins. B, because there are more vitamins, and you need your vitamins, in the skins than any other part of the potato. C, because peeling potatoes probably means you need warm water, especially if you've got arthritic fingers. You'll want warm water to peel the potatoes in. If you don't peel them, you won't need the warm water. You won't have potato peelings to waste and throw away, and, well, you'll be getting more value for money. It's extraordinary. So many old folk think that they're really good when it comes to looking after the pennies. But I've got to tell you, the truth of the matter is I think they're pretty poor. So let's help, and let's pass on one or two money-saving tips. Free call 0500 1053 89. Listen, you can watch TV with the light off. You can watch TV with only the TV on in the evening in your living room. It will illuminate the living room so that if you get up to make a cup of cocoa, you won't bump into anything. But above all, you'll save on the expense of that electric light. Watching the television without another light on will not damage your eyesight. Number 5, grow a beard. All of you. You don't need to shave. Beards look really fetching on old folk, and shaving equipment can be very expensive. Number 6, make a note of all your outgoing phone calls. Because as you get a little bit older, it's easy to get forgetful, and you can very easily find yourself phoning somebody and telling them something that you've already phoned them and told them a couple of hours earlier. That's easily done. So make a note of outgoing phone calls. That could save you a lot of money. Free call 0500 1053 89. Have a lunchtime pint on Sundays as well as Mondays to Fridays, because on Sundays an awful lot of pubs put out crisps, squares of cheese with pickled onions, and sometimes even prawns, which is almost a meal in itself. Number 8, make a note of all the outgoing phone calls that you make, because it's very easy as you get a little bit older to make a phone call to somebody and tell them something that you've already phoned and told them a couple of hours earlier. Free call 0500 1053 89. And the last one from me, and I do hope that some people can add to this list of money-saving tips, get to the market on a Saturday at about 4:15 p.m. in the afternoon, instead of taking great pride on being one of the first people there at 7:30. Because things are fully priced up at 7:30, but at 4:15 they're giving away great big boxes of lettuces and cauliflowers and potatoes and courgettes, small cucumbers, all for £1. Free call 0500 1053 89. I'm Tommy Boyd, on the side of pensioners. If pensions aren't going up, I want to help. So let's pass on to old folks some money-saving tips. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Experiments.
Elsa's in the kitchen.
Hey, girls, why not phone up Tommy now and tell him what a jug-headed, peanut-brained, weasel-faced, fourth-magnitude misfit from the 70s he is on free call 0500 1053 89.
This afternoon, battling for Britain's old age pensioners. Tom calls from London. Tom, good afternoon. Hi, Tom.
Plastic bags.
Plastic bags?
What a lot of old rubbish they are. I go shopping with my father every Friday down to the supermarket. He brings his own shopping basket on wheels. Full up to the top. Cashier gives us 2 plastic shopping bags to put the milk in, bread, tins of beans and so forth, halfway outside the shop, and the blooming thing fell through the bottom onto the floor. And not only that, but if they do last you a few yards up the road, they cut into your hands.
Yes.
Them plastic bags.
I'm not sure whether you actually sort of read the writing on the back of the label here, Tom.
Right.
How is this witty little anecdote going to help Britain's old age pensioners stretch their pension pound?
Well, rather than get sore hands, bending over, picking up shopping all the time, get yourself a basket on wheels.
There's no help there. Tony calls from London. Tony, we're trying to help our old age pensioners. Good afternoon.
Tommy, how are you? I know you're very well. Why? I like your comments there.
I mean,
okay?
I might...
Lovely ideas.
A little bit of a pull the muscle in my side.
Did I?
No, I did.
All right. Are you ready? Is it better?
No.
Okay. Shall I carry on or shall I wait?
Oh, I don't think I really want you to carry on, because I've got a feeling you've got something up your sleeve.
I haven't.
Yes, I think you have. I think you want... Well, go on then.
I have nothing up my sleeve.
Well, come on then, get out with it. Stop pussyfooting around. Cut to the chase, boy.
Okay, let's go for the... Okay. Tommy, nice idea, but can I ask you a question? Why should we have to, or why should the old age pensioners have to go and do all these things to save money?
Everybody should be saving money.
Well, of course they should be.
Well, exactly, and old age pensioners aren't very good at it.
Do you recycle your carrier bags?
Old age pensioners aren't very good at looking after the pennies.
Tommy, do you recycle your carrier bags?
They could do themselves a big favour. They could do themselves a big favour. This isn't about me, it's about old age pensioners. Focus, man, focus.
Pensioners do it.
Focus. focus. Everybody should look after the pennies.
I agree. We should all look after.
So why don't you come on the radio and be constructive and be objective and try and help people?
Constructive, Tommy, but you are doing what you normally do.
You're not being constructive at all. You're being destructive.
Have you?
Yeah, you're having a pop at me.
Do you recycle?
It's not about me. I'm not interested in me. I couldn't care less about me. I don't matter. I matter more to you than I matter to me. Now shut up talking about me and let's try and help Britain's old age pensioners. What's your advice?
We should help old age pensioners. We should give them more on the old age pension. Your advice about going around recycling carrier bags because they're taking a carrier bag there, I find totally amusing, if nothing else. You don't do it. A lot of people don't do it. We shouldn't be here saying, well, I tell you what, if you go down on Saturday morning, you can buy some cheap vegetables.
You're one of these people who just spends all his life yakking. You don't do anything. You've never had an original thought in your life. Or if you have, you're unable to come up with one right now. You tell me how you think that old age pensioners can make their pension go a bit further. That's what we want to hear.
No, what I'm actually saying to you is this. You are coming up with some ideas of how old age pensioners can make their pension go further.
Yeah.
That is not the solution, is it?
Yes.
To you, that's the solution.
No, it is the solution.
You'll be asking them to, like a Conservative Party member once said, why don't they go and buy some dented cans?
They did, but
they're cheaper. Do you want to buy dented cans?
They said something like that.
Why haven't the old age pensioners got the same level as everybody else? Why are they going around looking for cheap
I'm not going to talk to you anymore because you're obviously...
Tommy?
No, because you're inarticulate. You're an inarticulate, not very clever man. Because you're coming out with the kind of nonsense that you think you're supposed to come out with when you're on a phone-in programme, which is this kind of self-righteous twaddle.
All right.
Yeah.
You think
dead
so?
right. Dead right. Yeah. Dead right. Now you go back, you... Push off and listen to your grossy little BBC local radio station. They lap up nonsense like that. No, this programme is out in front. We're out here in the middle of the woods with the bears and the Indians. Anybody else wants to stay back on the farm? Fine. I like the bears and the Indians. I'm going to make friends with them and we're going to come and get you and cook you. I want to know how we can help old age pensioners stretch their pension pound. There's nothing vulgar about that, is there? We're only trying to help. Blimey, merchant bankers. Merchant bankers will buy own-brand polos if they could. There's nothing ignominious or shameful about stretching your dough, what dough you've got. And I do think that particularly when it comes to cooking a snook at free carrier bags, pensioners could pick up a modern trick or two. Thomas calls from London. Thomas, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Talking about a carrier bag. Bigger section bags are better than carrier bags. You pick them up in certificate.
Yes, Thomas, you're on, boy. Hello.
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 Yes, you're on about carrier bags.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. How old are you, Thomas?
16.
Right.
And what are you on that?
Here we sit, too lonely, taking our lives away.
Ken calls from Cardiff. Ken, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
How you doing, Tommy?
Ken, you well?
Yeah, very well, thanks.
Good.
Yourself?
Yes, thank you.
Good. Hey, Tommy, you know these superstores now out town? And
Yeah.
they've got free buses for elderly, I suppose, more than anything else.
Yeah.
What if they actually dedicate an hour or two for the oldies to go in with their shopping and get rid of all the excess stuff, or stuff that's going to be reduced in price because the date's wrong, you know, out of date maybe in a couple of days, knock a bit of money off. They could save pounds.
Well, it's a suggestion, but it's something that the supermarkets have got to act on. What we're really looking at in this hour is ways in which older people can cut their food bill, cut their overheads. If none of the political parties are going to boost the pensions, that's the only way they're going to make ends meet.
Well, some of the supermarkets already do, reduce them because the date's out in a couple of days, or even hours sometimes. If they could dedicate that hour at the end of the evening, you know, some of the supermarkets 24 hours these days, every time of day, because they've got nothing else to do, have they really? They go to the supermarkets that hour, pick a few bargains up, and off they toddle, happy.
Ken, thank you for your call. Trevor calls from Dover. Trevor, you're on Talk Radio. What's your idea?
Oh, good afternoon, Tommy. I wondered if you considered the pensioners could go for roadkill.
Why not?
I was in a little country lane the other day, scattered with rabbits.
Yes, rabbits, hedgehog.
I saw a badger, and the prize at the end of the lane was a young deer.
There.
Now, that could have lasted up to 3 weeks.
That would last a countdown fan, a fortnight at least, wouldn't it?
Well, you still got the bones for soup afterwards. And
yes.
You've even got the hide.
Yes.
Could make a small blanket.
Yes.
For the winter.
So they wouldn't have to stretch to those little things that you zip yourself up into that you see advertised in colour supplements.
Exactly.
Trevor, I like it. It's a good idea. Thank you for being constructive.
I'll try to help.
Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
10:53.
Yes?
10:89 a.m.
What's that?
Talk Radio.
Tommy Boyd.
Hello? He's on the radio, so he must be right.
1,
Pew,
2,
Pew,
3,
Barney,
4,
McGrew,
5,
Cuthbert,
6,
Dibble,
7,
Boyd.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Monitoring the party political conferences, Lib Dem, New Lab, Old Con, nothing about pensions going up. So, if they're not going up, we've got to help our old age pensioners by passing on some money-saving tips. Free call 0500 10 53 89, such as ditch that shopping bag. Shops these days will give you a carrier bag. Doesn't matter what you've bought, however small. And carrier bags have so many uses, and they're free. Vince calls from Cheshire. Vince, you're on Talk Radio. What's your tip?
Yeah, here's an idea, Tommy, that'll save a few shillings in a year. You know that when you boil an electric kettle, you usually have to put about 3 cups of water in, and you're just making the one drink.
Yes.
So once you boil the kettle and poured your drink, the 2 cups of boiling water, put it in a vacuum flask until next time you use the kettle.
Great tip.
Tommy.
Busted lip.
Karen calls from West Sussex. Karen, good afternoon. What's your tip?
Oh, good afternoon. Carrier bags.
Yep.
At a certain supermarket, they'll give them to you free. And if you take them back the next visit and reuse them, they'll give you a penny.
You're joking.
No.
There's almost a living to be made here.
There is.
I like it.
So they can supplement their pensions.
Right. Karen, thank you for your tip.
You're welcome.
Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you.
Tommy Boyd.
Tim calls from Liverpool. Tim.
Hello, Tommy.
Good afternoon. What's your tip?
Tip, Tommy, don't buy the expensive Ganix Rain Mac. Just use a simple black bin bag with 2 holes poked through it in the rain and you'll keep nice and dry. Another one.
Yes.
A carrier bag makes the perfect rain hat.
Yes.
Stops you having to carry a big umbrella, which is blowing around, which happens to pensioners all the time.
Absolutely.
2 carrier bags tied round your feet. Stops the rain getting through your shoes.
I never go out in the snow without 2 carrier bags on my feet.
They're very useful items, aren't they?
And they're free.
Yeah, that's the purpose of them. They're free.
Tommy Boyd.
Francis is in Devon. Francis, you're on Talk Radio. What's your money-saving tip for our old age pensioners?
Well, I think that if they look after the grandchildren, then they can chase them around and they won't have to have the heating on. It'll keep them nice and warm. And they can, they'll be entertained by them, so they won't have to watch TV, so they won't be paying for the electricity or the television licence.
Yep.
And I think that they can teach them lots of the old ways of doing things, so that making things themselves, so they don't have to buy things. And they can do things like buy a jumper from a charity shop and unravel it and make it into another jumper. And then that'll, you know, take time and
keep their fingers warm.
That's right, yes, and keep them busy and occupied.
Tommy.
Busted lip.
Thank you for your suggestion. Richard calls from Grimsby. Richard, you're on Talk Radio. What's your money-saving tip?
Pensioners that are married, if they get divorced and still live together, then they can claim 2 single allowances rather than the married allowance.
Yes.
And they get a lot more money.
It's sort of slightly illegal or immoral, but hey, what the heck?
Well, as long as you get another £20 or £30 or whatever, it don't matter, does it?
Thank you for your tip. Steve is in Essex. Steve, you're on Talk Radio.
Hello, Tommy.
Steve.
Tommy, I think the OAP should stop doing the lottery.
Yes.
Complete waste of money.
It is.
They'll come to me on my card stall down the market and they won't pay 30p for a card, but then they'll go and spend £5 playing a complete waste of money on the lottery.
It is. I was told by somebody who said he knew that that there was a much less chance of all the numbers between about 25 and 38 ever coming up, and that's because so many of their birthdays fall in those years, you see.
Absolutely.
And so they use those as their lucky numbers.
Yeah.
And so, knowing that, the lottery people want, obviously, high payouts, so they restrict those numbers. It means that if you're an old age pensioner, you're probably less likely to win on the lottery than any other section of society.
That's right. I mean, they say that the under-16s can't play the lottery.
Mhm.
I think there should be a law that over, say, 45s should be barred from it as well.
Tommy.
Nice one. Chris is in Norwich. Chris, you're on Talk Radio.
Is that me?
Yes, it is.
Chris, Tommy, if you go down to one of the stores, you can buy cheap beans for 11p. Put some tomato puree into it, they taste like good beans.
Mm-hmm.
Bread costs you up to 22p a loaf of bread.
Yep.
You got beans on toast.
Mm-hmm.
Go down to the market, you can buy a sack of new baking potatoes, 50 potatoes in a bag, £6. That's 50 days' food. And if you take a plastic bag back to some big stores, they give you 10p back.
And old people tend not to like baked potatoes, and I don't know why, because obviously you can bake a potato whilst you're baking some scones, and they'll keep your hands warm for about 4 hours before you eat them.
Yep. I can't believe me offering. I can't give any more. We do it. We survive.
Thank you for your call.
Pulse, 0. Blood pressure, 0/0. But Tommy says he's feeling great.
Pensions aren't going up, so we've got to help. So let's pass on some money-saving tips to our old age pensioners, who aren't as good at looking after the pennies as many of them would like to think. John's on the line from East Yorkshire. John, you're on Talk Radio. What's your tip? John, are you there? John, try again. Let's go to Kim, who's calling from Kingston-on-Thames. Hello, Kim.
Hi there, Tommy. Just listening to your show. My mother's used to bringing up a family of 6 people, and what she does now that she's on her own, she goes, instead of buying a small joint, which are quite expensive, she buys a large one and gets a reduction on that, and buys all the meat and veg and all the rest of it, and then has 6 friends round for dinner and charges them £1 a head.
That's a good idea, but I'd take that a stage further, Kim.
Yeah.
It's this. Have you noticed how few old age pensioners are vegetarian?
Well, that's a good idea, yeah.
You see, there are great savings to be had out of being a vegetarian. They don't need that much meat, and yet you'll rarely see an old age pensioner cooking a meal that hasn't got some meat on it somewhere.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It doesn't have to be meat. What I'm saying is she goes out and buys enough food to have 6 friends round and a bit of company and charges them £1 a head.
Don't misunderstand me. Your tip is a good standalone.
Yeah.
I'm only taking it a stage further. Give up meat. Meat's expensive. You look at any plate of food, it's the meat that costs on that plate.
Well, that's right. My wife's a vegetarian as well, so there you go.
Oh, you must be rolling in it then.
I wish.
Free call 0500 1053 89. Barry calls from Coventry. Barry, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tommy. It's quite straightforward, really. I think all the old people should go and join religious sects.
Yes.
Rugby club and share a bath.
Yes. Buddhism is good?
Whatever rattles your window.
Would they be allowed into Islam?
I don't know, answers on a postcard. I'm a clue.
Pulse,
I like
0.
this one.
Blood pressure, 0/0.
I love this one.
But Tommy says he's feeling great.
One day I'll die like that. That's so unkind. David is on the line from Hampshire. David, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon to you.
Hi, Tommy. I think that old age pensioners should not be able to pay any VAT, and so they can have more money to spare.
Well, this is a campaigning thing of yours, though, isn't it? The fact is they do have to pay VAT.
And they shouldn't.
But we can't pass that tip on to old age pensioners, can we?
Loopy.
Hey?
Sorry,
Can't, can we?
Yeah, but we...
Hey, don't come on the radio and try and be loopy with me. You'll lose. I can out-loop you. I can out-loop anybody. You are as pathetic, man. You want to go totally surreal? I'm your boy. I can do paranoid schizophrenia until the cows come home. The cows, the sheep, the fish come home. Go on, slam the phone down. Go on.
What?
Slam the phone down.
I don't want to.
I don't want to. Yeah, gone. It's good to be the king. Jerry calls from Surrey. Jerry, we're discussing ways of helping pensioners stretch their pension pound. Jerry, welcome.
Hello.
Hello, Jerry.
Right, I've got the perfect solution, Tommy.
Sir?
Right, I live in London, or sort of South London, and all we get at traffic lights is young kids trying to clean your windows and things and sell flowers. Well, no one really cares because it's all a big con. They're doing it for someone else, a Mr. Big somewhere. They don't get the sympathy vote. But if we had all the old folk wrapped up in their plastic bags, especially in the winter, I'm sure that everyone would give them plenty of money. And the more plastic bags they had wrapped around them, and the worse the weather was, the sympathy vote would increase. And I'm sure that they could live a very high standard of life if they took this new idea.
Jerry, I like it. Well, let's move into this territory, shall we? We've been talking about money-saving tips, but let's look at money-making tips. How about this one? Why don't old people take a £1 or a £5 note into the high street and then stop somebody who looks quite young and carefree and ask them if they can break the note because they need 10 pence to phone home to find out if the cat's all right? I can guarantee you 9 people out of 10 will simply say, oh, here's 10p, have it, on me.
Good one, Tommy.
Yeah? Yeah?
Good one.
Thank you, Jerry. Nice. Good work. Andy calls from Birmingham. Andy, what's your tip?
Hello, Tommy. Each day when they go out and get the paper from the shop, they don't read it, but they sit down at about 6 o'clock and do the crossword.
Yeah.
Well, instead of doing it in bright blue biro, do it in pencil, and then in a month's time, rub it out, start again.
Oh, because what are you suggesting? They'll have forgotten...
Oh, yeah. Well, I knew it's possible. They're all the same, really, aren't they, after a few? All the clues are similar, so they could redo it and spend all them hours enjoying the crossword again without remembering that they've already done it.
Thank you, Andy. Andrew calls from Norfolk. Andrew.
Hello.
What's your tip?
Old people.
Yes?
It's a shopping tip.
Yep.
They should go shopping mid-afternoon.
Yep.
Late afternoon. And follow shop assistants around. Stalk them around the store, because at that time they're going to start sticking tags. Reduction tags.
It's a very good idea.
On the food. Just stalk them. Stand right behind them. Follow them around the shop.
Very good idea. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you.
Tommy Boyd.
Mrs. Matthews has called from Roxham. Mrs. Matthews, good afternoon.
Oh, yes, good afternoon. I've eventually a chance to talk to you because usually I like your program. Some programs have made me laugh so much. No comedian could have done it better than you. But today I'm really, really incensed.
Why?
Because I don't think that is right. You know, people like us, we have been through the war. I'm old now, and I'm sitting here. You said, do knitting, keep yourself warm. We have arthritis. We can't do that. We are nearly blind. We can't do that. Why give all these stupid tips to people?
Well, obviously not all of the tips will apply to everybody, but hopefully 1 or 2 people will be able to benefit from some of the well-meaning advice that we've been able to broadcast.
Well, I think it's a bit insulting today. You know,
I'm sorry that you should think that, but I would have to come back at you and say one important thing. You know, the fact of the matter is that folk from your generation aren't always as good at looking after the pennies as they like to think.
You make me laugh. You know, where do we always have money to spend like this generation has?
Well, why do you peel potatoes?
Pardon?
Why do you all peel your potatoes?
I don't peel my potatoes. I boil them in their skin.
But most people of your generation peel them.
Well, I don't know. Anyway, my friends don't.
Well, I'd be very surprised if that's entirely true. They probably only boil them in their skins when you're coming round.
Well, I can't afford to have people around, I tell you the truth. I mean, people like you, most of the people talking there, they should try to live on £65 a week and see how they get on.
This is what we're trying to help with, Mrs. Matthews. I'm sure you can see that.
Are you Tommy yourself?
Am I Tommy myself?
No, I mean, are you Tommy I'm speaking to, or who are you?
How old are you again?
Who are you then?
Who am I?
Yes.
Who am I?
Who
That is
are
such
you?
a deep, rich question.
Yes.
I've got to tell you that I'm rising 46 December, and I still don't really know. I mean, who are you?
I told you who I am. I told you my name. I'm nearly 80, and I'm having to listen to this. I usually listen to him.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was a sort of a neo-existentialist conversation.
No, this is a conversation. I want to complain. You know, I always listen to him because he's so funny sometimes, you know. I mean, nobody takes him seriously.
No. What shall I do to him?
Well, just tell him what I said.
I'll do that then. Thank you for your call.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Rob calls from Hertfordshire. Rob, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What's
Tommy.
your tip?
Well, I was going to suggest perhaps they should go into some of the local stores when they're out shopping.
Yes.
And ask the storekeepers for sponsorship for their coats or whatever, or their bags as they're carrying them around.
They're always seen in the high street.
Exactly. As they walk around, they're always going very, very slowly.
Yes.
So you're going to get seen.
Yeah.
They're always hanging around on corners, talking to each other right in the middle of the pavement. So you'd always see the advert. I'm sure local shops, would go for that. It saves a man walking around with a sandwich board, really.
Rob, thank you for your tip. Jerry is next in Hereford. Jerry.
Tommy, I reckon they could make a fortune if we all sponsored them on an old people's no moaning day.
We couldn't afford it.
You're probably right, actually.
We couldn't stretch to it. If they charge 10 pence an hour not to moan... No, come on, Jerry. I think that's... You're being cynical here.
No, I'm not.
I think you are being a little bit cynical.
No, I think it's in the genes that when you get to a certain age, everything is a complaint about something. So, I mean, if they could just... if we could sponsor them for 10p each or 10p an hour, not to moan, go right, set them up for the year.
Thank you for your tip. We're looking for money-saving tips and money-making ways for Britain's old age pensioners, since none of the political parties have suggested that they're going to hike pensions. And it's not getting any warmer. Malcolm calls from Southend. Welcome, Malcolm.
Good afternoon, Tommy.
What's your tip?
Aluminium cans. There's loads of money in aluminium. I have a phone number where they'll tell you when and where the van is in your area, if you want the phone number.
Well, that's all right if you live in Southend, isn't it?
No, I think it's organised by a large aluminium company throughout the country.
Really? Well, let's leave them to their own devices when it comes to locating the people who are going to Right. This will be a case of killing two birds. Tristram in Wiltshire, you're on Talk Radio.
Hiya. Just a quick one.
Yes?
I think they should all ring you up and you can put them through to each other and then they won't have to pay any phone bills.
What a marvellous idea. We could let Free Call pay for their yakking.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, that'd make great radio, wouldn't it? Daniel calls from Sheffield. Daniel, you're on Talk Radio.
No, Tom.
Money saving or money making?
Money saving, definitely. But it's not just a tip for the grannies, it's a tip for everyone, yeah?
Yep.
Instead of sending, grannies, they send a lot of mail to all the relatives and always sending letters and stuff. Instead of sending them first class, send it second class.
That's a good tip.
I've never had a second class letter get there later than the next day. I mean, it's just an antiquated thing that I think used to happen, but...
Better yet, don't send letters at all, because junk mail just swallows it all up, nobody checks, and a lot of the good personal letters just get missed because the whole lot goes in the bin.
Yeah, but it's how these grannies keep in touch, though, isn't it? I mean...
Well, allegedly. Thank you for your call. We'll make Dave in Basingstoke our last contributor to this compendium of ideas to help pensioners get through the winter. Dave, you're on Talk Radio.
Hello, Tommy.
What's your suggestion?
Well, thank God I got home in time to be able to pick up the phone. I was just bursting with this one.
Phew.
Dentures, number one. And number two, houseplants. Things that old people have quite a lot around.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with dentures, when they're eating their meals, they tend to get pips stuck in them.
Yeah.
So whip the pips out, grow them as a houseplant, and you can probably get fruit and vegetables out of it.
Yeah.
Well, just a thought.
Thank you for your call. And now we move on. It's transport next, and we celebrate the greatest thing on four wheels. The kit car.
DHL Worldwide Express. We keep your promise. World's #1 international express carrier.
I've been driving in my car. Take you places to drive. Who's gonna drive you home tonight?
Tommy Boyd.
I was going to say it's not that long since production cars used to have character and cojones, but that would be a lie. It is actually quite a long time since the machines that roll off the production lines have got anything going for them at all. They're all identical these days. They're all jelly moulds on four wheels, aren't they? If you want a car that speaks character, of your character, then there's only one way to go about it, and that's to get a kit car. A kit car. Kit cars fantastic. Free call 0500 1053 89. All through my teens, right through my 20s, I salivated after a kit car. It was this thing called a Madison. It was about 23 feet long, and it was made of fiberglass, and it had a huge grille, radiator that looked like a Rolls Royce, and it had double headlamps on those kind of triangles of aluminium that sat up on the mudguards, and spokes and sort of almost knives sticking out of the hubcaps, and running boards, so just in case you wanted to be a gangster, and 2 fins at the back, one on either side, and a third fin in the middle that was even bigger than the 2 on the sides that looked like one of those tails on a triceratops, and a leather canopy, and it was so disgusting. It was fantastic. Fantastic. I never got one. I couldn't stretch to the 750 quid that they cost new. But I've always envied people with their kit cars. You can get anything in a kit car form. Anything. You can get a Cobra, you can get a thing that looks like a Morgan but isn't quite. You can get a thing that looks like a Bentley but isn't quite, but it flies twice as fast as a Bentley. Free call 0500 1053 89. The tragedy is, though, I've never met anybody who's actually got a kit car who can share this celebration of this most wonderful way of getting from A to A. Because if you've got a kit car, I don't think you ever use it for an actual journey. You just drive around in it and then come back home. You wouldn't risk it, would you, if you really, had to get to Didsbury by 9:30. Free call 0500 1053 89. It's a shame they don't go further with kit cars. I mean, wouldn't you like to be able to buy a real Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, or a real kit version of James Bond's gold Aston Martin? Or, remember Wacky Races? Who turned their noses up at an Arkansas Chuggabug? Not me. Free call 0500 1053 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
DHL Worldwide Express won't let you down. Wide Express.
Celebrating kit cars. And our first caller is Andrea from Atlantis.
Hello, Tom.
Hello, Andrea.
Hello. Yes, you were talking about kit cars.
Yes, I was. Do you have one?
No, but my boyfriend Bob has a kit car, and I love it. The only thing...
No, I can't keep this up. Sorry, we had a slight technical... I could do. You didn't know that was me. You didn't know that was me, and therefore I could have kept that up. That would have been a feather in the cap, wouldn't it? Slight technical, but it isn't a problem, because I do have some important information. Pin 'em back. All next week, Talk Radio's playing Now That's What I Call English with IKEA. And you could win thousands of pounds worth of prizes by calling what you think is typically English. The Oxford and Cambridge boat race, you might win a boating holiday abroad. Or if you're embarrassed by your neighbour's mock Tudor beams and horse brasses around the fireplace, we might send you to an authentic 12th century castle. To register to play, call the competition hotline now on 0894 222 333. Calls cost 25p. Join me on Monday and all next week for Now That's What I Call English with IKEA. There's a good argument for listening. Well, since we've got a couple of moments, you might be amused by this story, because I was talking about Wacky Races a moment ago, and some years ago I was working in children's television, and just for the heck of it, because one of the programmes we used to broadcast was Wacky Races, I phoned Universal Studios and asked them who won. And because Americans often haven't got a sense of humour, especially in Silicon Valley, because this was California, the woman said, well, we'll get back to you. So I left it for a couple of days and I phoned again. And I said, yeah, it's London here. We're showing Wacky Races, and who won? And she said, well, a total of 39 episodes of Wacky Races were recorded, and we rotated the winners of each of the races so that numerically there was no actual winner of Wacky Races. That wound her up for a little bit, because I thought that was rather sad and tragic, because we all wanted Penelope Pitstop, didn't we? Free call 0500 1053 89. Well, I'm delighted to point out, to report that the line's amended, so we can go back to being a phone-in programme instead of some bloke. And Becky has called from Holywell. You're on Talk Radio. Becky, good afternoon.
Hiya, Tommy. How are you?
I'm all right now.
Yeah, great. Enjoying your programme?
We were celebrating kit... You sound like me trying to be a caller.
We've got a kit car, Tommy.
What have you got?
We've got a JBA Falcon.
Have you really?
Yes, it's not a replica, but it's based on the old MG.
Yes.
With the running boards.
Fantastic.
And it's a really bright Porsche Guards red.
Marvellous.
It's beautiful.
How much did it cost?
To put it on the road, he reckon, well, he's added on since and all that, you know, but it must be about 8,000.
£8,000. Yeah, it's not cheap, is it? But a lot of fun. Neil calls from Northants. Neil, ho-ho.
Hello, Tommy. Love you. Love your show.
Thank you very much.
I had a kit car.
Oh, yeah?
Went up in flames while we were driving it.
Did you build it yourself?
No, not guilty.
Ah. So there was some comeback then, as we say, we men. There was some comeback on that.
Well, not really, because we'd had it about 2 years when it happened.
Oh, you haven't got a leg to stand on, have you? Or a car to drive, in fact.
Well...
No way of getting around.
And I still wasn't cured because I bought another one.
Let's talk to Karen in Cumbria. Thank you. Karen, you're on Talk Radio.
Hello.
Hello.
We've got a beautiful kit car.
Yes?
And it'll be even more beautiful. And we're finished with it.
Why?
It's due a new engine. That's the beauty of kit cars, you see, because you can just put in them what you like.
Yes.
And you can make them individual.
Yes.
Spray them your own colours, put your own various decals and bits and pieces on them. Make them your own, really.
Well, happy motoring. We all look enviously at you when you are stuck there in the lay-by.
Oh, don't get stuck in lay-bys. And you said
yes?
There wasn't very many places you go. We've been all over the country now.
Oh, fantastic.
Because there's loads of shows and things like that, and you take them to shows, compare them with other people's, and there's loads going on with kit cars. It's just people don't know about it. There's absolutely loads of them.
70 songs... Shut up. 70 songs about kit cars. Paradise by the Insurance Write-Off. Stolen Dashboard Lights by Meatloaf. Reconditioned Wings Over America by Paul McCartney. Bits and Pieces by the Tremolos. Gonna Make You a Star Four-Wheel Drive Convertible by David Essex. And number one in our book, Audi Women Bleed by Julie Covington. Things you didn't know about kit cars. James Bond actor Timothy Dalton refused to shoot a scene in Licence to Kill when the director suggested he take part in a getaway using a kit-assembled unicycle. Victorian cinema idol Errol Flynn used a modified 5/8 scale Brougham de Ville with a specially modified cockpit to travel around his Lake District home. And Paul Stanton Wallace, better known as the Birdman of Alcatraz, when not looking after his canaries, spent his time building airfix models of contemporary motor vehicles. Popular kit car books include Zen and the Art of Self-Assembled Motorcycles by Robert M. Persig, Down and Out in Paris and London Grease Pits by George Orwell, and Saving Private Ryan's 1926 Woolsey, author unknown. I look forward to talking with you from 3 on Monday. Remember the Angry Hour. Stand by for Peter Dealey. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Signed, sealed, delivered. DHL Worldwide Express.
Pick up last year.
And did you really?
Another thing about golf is just me and my wife went, and the kids stayed with the grandparents, and the kind of euphoria that the victory at golf gives you is a good aphrodisiac.
Listen, Richard, thanks for your call. Let's go to Pam, who calls from Weston-super-Mare. Pam, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Hello, Tommy. Nice to talk to you. First time I've ever spoken to you before.
I'm glad you rang.
I am so sorry for that guy who's 45 and would rather play golf. I don't believe that.
Well, you haven't seen him. You don't know.
The other thing, I disagree with you that you say that you only make love sort of 7 days a week or something like that in the first few flushes.
Yeah, you do.
No, you don't. I'm 44, my husband's 57. We have the most brilliant sex life, and we make love every day, if not more than once a day.
But how long have you been married?
2 years.
Ah, well...
2 years before that.
Yeah, but, that's different, isn't it?
Why?
Because most people get married in their early 20s.
Ah, well, experience counts for an awful lot, doesn't it?
No, you've got... I think what it is, I'm going to be rude.
Go on, then.
A bit. I don't mean to be, but I think this is true. When you're in your early 20s... and you've just settled down with a partner, right?
Yeah.
Love has a wandering eye, doesn't it?
Don't forget to subscribe and like. Comment too if you wish. Even slap your legs and make a purchase from Ann Summers. But don't do nothing.